Can they see you?
Yes, people can see me. They can hear us now too.
Okay.
Hey guys, so we're about to get started in about 3 minutes. At 11:30, we're gonna start the program. So if you can, if you're viewing from home via YouTube, can you pull up the email that we sent out earlier this morning with the packet? So the packet should look something like that. Is a PDF in your email. So if you go to the email that was sent out, I think it was sent out like at 8 o'clock or something like that, 8 or 9 o'clock from RevFit, and you'll have the packet in there. So just pull that up so you can have that as we discuss the different things today. You were able to pull that up?
Okay. You said day 1?
Yeah. It's also too in the email.
Okay.
Yeah. And also too, if you're viewing via the YouTube stream, remember you can go into the group chat and you can ask questions and engage on the group chat, or you can go onto Twitter and you can tweet at us.
Yeah.
You ready to put? Yeah. See if you can, from your phone, see if you can do group chat.
Group chat?
There's the chat option on there. See if you can get on it from your phone. Daddy just sent me a picture from her house. She has me on a big screen showing my big papa head. Thanks, Daddy.
Oh, here it is.
You have to click on the picture to picture photos to view.
Yeah, we're live.
So try posting to our
So maybe from computer it works. Who knows?
Oh, I thought you could see what's in.
No, you have to click on this to view the packet.
Yeah.
Like this doesn't say that. I was scrolling.
So if you're having trouble finding the packet in your email, there's a picture with little journals, and you click on that picture and it's going to take you to the PDF with the packet in it. It's a Dropbox file.
No.
All right, cool. So let's get started. So we have people in attendance here at the orientation. We also have people who are streaming in via YouTube. So I'll be looking back and forth. So don't get too confused. Again, if you want to make any comments, you can do it on the group chat if you're watching us on YouTube from your computer. And if you're watching us from your phone, I think is to tweet us. So you tweet at RevFitNYC, and then you use the hashtag Plant Strong Equinox. All that stuff is in the emails and in the post that we put onto Facebook. So I want to thank everybody for joining us today. For those who don't know me, my name is Sean Garcia, and I'm the Executive Director with Revolutionary Fitness. And Revolutionary Fitness was founded almost 5 years ago now. So in June, we'll hit our 5-year anniversary. And since we got founded, you know, primarily we've been a health and fitness organization focused on delivering fitness classes in different parks and community centers throughout the city. But we also have a big focus on education. And the way that we provide the education is through different forums like this. So having, you know, our Green Smoothie Cleanse and having an orientation meeting is one form of education that we use, but we also, you know, do educational workshops. We have courses that you can go through and all that stuff. There goes Gabriella coming in right now. So, you know, we appreciate everybody joining us online. And if you already have the packet in front of you, we're going to basically go through the packet, all 5 pages, and give an orientation on how to conduct the cleanse, And then we're gonna have some Q&As. And again, if you wanna drop the questions via YouTube, you can, or you can do it via Twitter. So the Green Smoothie Cleanse is something that, you know, it's a very easy way to do nutritional cleansing. It's an easy introduction into nutritional cleansing because a lot of people are somewhat intimidated by cleansing, or maybe they have gotten, you know, they've gone through a cleanse that wasn't really that safe, or they didn't get much guidance, or they saw, you know, Beyonce doing or something like that. So we're not doing that kind of cleanse. We're doing, you know, a really well-formatted and scientific cleanse. So the 5-day Green Smoothie Cleanse, you know, the first thing that comes to people's minds is that, you know, they're going to be starving, and, you know, it's going to be so difficult because they're not going to be able to eat the foods that they're used to. And there is some difficulties, but this cleanse is not a fast. We're not trying to deprive people of food or nutritional intake. In fact, we're actually encouraging people to drink and consume as many green smoothies as they possibly can. So big difference in what you might see in mainstream. And another thing is that the group dynamic of the cleanse is very important to us. So we want to make sure that as everyone's going through the cleanse, you're engaging with people online and you know, sharing your experiences and sharing information and things like that on Facebook, on Twitter, and all those social media outlets. But also, you know, if you're doing it with friends and family members, you're in contact with them, and, you know, chit-chatting and making sure that you're going through the cleanse together, because the cleanse can, you know, have periods of difficulty and times when, you know, you feel like you just want to give up. But if you have that kind of support network, it really heightens the experience of the cleanse, but also keeps the encouragement up between you and your colleagues. So we've done 7-day cleanses, we've done 10-day, we've done 3-day. This time we're doing a 5-day, not for any particular reason, just because of how the timing worked out. And we're doing it specifically for the Spring Equinox. And so Spring Equinox is on Friday, March 20th. So that's actually the day that we'll be ending the cleanse. So it's a little jump start to the spring season, and also a way to cleanse yourself and get rid of all the winter woes, because it's been a pretty depressing winter. So we're doing a 5-day. We've done 3 days of preparation. So today is day 3 of preparation. If you didn't do the first 3 days of preparation that we had scheduled based on the Facebook event page and fan page, that's okay. You can start your preparation days today, or you can even start your preparation days tomorrow. But we did preparation days on Friday, Saturday, and now Sunday. And we're going to have some Q&A back and forth about how those preparation days look and some difficulties people might have ran into. But if you look at the second page of your packet, let me click it here. On the second page of your packet, you see the detailed outline of the preparation days. And preparation for the cleanse is super important, because if you're eating, you know, however your diet is, you can be a plant-based eater, you can be a meat eater, you can be, you know, someone who is not very conscious of what they're eating. All that's okay. But if you go from that kind of diet overnight to start cleansing, then you can have some pretty bad experiences. You can go through some painful experiences like crazy headaches or hunger pains that you don't know how to explain. You could even go through, you know, periods of low energy where you're trying to figure out, you know, where your energy is going and how you're going to get through your work day or school day or whatever. And we don't want those kind of negative experiences, because the only thing that comes from those negative experiences is being deterred from continuing the cleanse and ending the process. So we want to make sure that we're doing preparation. So we have a 3-day recommendation for preparation. So if you're looking at your packet, or if you're looking at the screen, preparation day 1, which for, you know, us, we scheduled for Friday, but again, you can start today or tomorrow, is our recommendation is that you eat early, and you have no heavy foods after sundown. You drink a lot of liquids and soups, and you start beginning to cut out refined sugars and sweeteners, and my favorite, you start to cut out coffee. So this is a big one, because, you know, trying to prep your body for a cleanse, you're going to be you know, none of these added sweeteners or coffee is going to be in your diet potentially. And this is something that we have a high addictiveness to. And our body, the receptors in our body really want all this sugary food. And we might not even realize it until we cut it out, how bad our body wants it. Same thing with caffeine. You know, people might be having adrenal fatigue or, you know, so reliant on coffee or caffeine. And the minute they take it out of their diet, they go through withdrawal, basically. I always talk about this, but, you know, yesterday was day 2 for me. So day 1, I cut out the coffee. I actually had 1 cup of coffee in the morning, so I didn't cut it out totally. But I like held it, and I was like, all right, this is my last cup of coffee. And I like, you know, did my coffee prayers and stuff like that. And then day 2 yesterday, I had a migraine from like 2 p.m. all the way till I went to sleep. And, you know, for someone who hasn't done cleansing before, that might be frightening or concerning to have that kind of headache. But for me, you know, I've cleansed a lot, and I know that coffee is a bad thing in my diet. You know, I think I drink like 3 to 5 cups a day. You know, if we're talking about 8 ounces, because Natalie was talking about she drinks 1 cup and she showed me a 20 ounce, 16 ounce. So in any case, so you know, so coffee is a big thing for me. So I had those headaches, but I understood that I was going to have those headaches, so I was prepared for it. But, you know, you want to start cutting that stuff out. You want to cut out the sugary foods and the processed foods and all that stuff. So day 2, which for us was yesterday, but again, it can be any day for you, is to start beginning to cut out the animal proteins, the dairy products, even protein replacements. So even if you don't eat meat and you eat some kind of soy or seitan or wheat gluten, like a tempeh or anything like that, you cut it out on day 2. And you want to be cutting out these sources of protein, again, adjusting your body for the plant-based protein that you're only going to be consuming throughout the cleanse. And another thing about the preparation days, it's not only, you know, preparing your body, but it's also prepping your mind, you know, knowing what to eat, where to shop, what do you have in your house, what you don't have in your house. So if you just like overnight started cleansing, but didn't do the right compra, and, you know, you're out of luck because now you're like, oh my God, how am I going to have my smoothie and I don't have the right stuff, or I'm starving and I don't know what to eat. If you do these preparation days, you'll realize, you know, in a slower way, in an easier way, the kind of stuff you should be buying in your house and prepping yourself for. So day 3 is today for many of us, but again, any day for you. And today we're cutting out all cooked foods. We're cutting out grains, breads, pastas, legumes, that's like beans and all that stuff, wheats and oil. So today, really the day before going into the cleanse, we're really focused on consuming salads and fruits. And of course we can start consuming smoothies, but I would tell you, if you've ever been through a cleanse, you're gonna get sick and tired of smoothies. So maybe today, you know, just eat as many raw salads as you can. But again, when we go over the different tiers of the cleanse, you know, some of these preparation days might look a little different for you, or if you're deciding to, you know, not cut certain things out because of, you know, maybe there's some dietary restriction you have or some preference, you know, these are just our suggestions, so you don't have to stick to them 100%. I know some people are still consuming coffee. I'm not going to say any names, but that's all good, you know. I'm not consuming coffee, and I'm mad about it, but it's all good. I'm salty about it. Salty about the coffee. All right, so now we're gonna go into the different kind of options for cleansing. So we have 4 different options that we recommend, but again, you can adjust them based on your preference. So there's 4 options we have, and one side note is that if you're, whatever option you start off with, let's say for instance, you know, you start off with option 1, you know, you want to do smoothies and juices the whole way through, but then, you know, you realize by day 3, you know, you're going to have a really heavy work week, or whatever it is, you know, you're going to, you know, you have some big project you have to do at the end of the week, and smoothies might not be, you know, accessible to you. You can change the option that you use. So you can start with option 1, and then you can shift over and do option 2 or 3 or something like that. So again, these are just suggestions, What I would say though is that, you know, option one is the purest form of this cleanse. And I think almost everybody can do it at some point or for a few days, unless you're, you know, a pregnant or lactating mother. So try option one, even if it seems daunting, and do it for as many days as you can. And, you know, challenge yourself to really push and see if you can stick to it. But option one is consuming just that, smoothies and juices. So what's the difference between a smoothie and a juice is a question that we constantly get. So a smoothie is when you throw all your ingredients into a blender and you blend them up and you still have the fiber intact. You still have that meat. That's probably a wrong term for it, but you have the meat of the plant and the fruits. So it still has texture. It's still thick to some degree. It can be filling because it has that fiber. And, you know, it has a lot of nutrients intact, but it also can be, you know, it can be better to go juices because that's easier on your digestive system. You're not dealing with having to, you know, convert any of those fibers, and it's just pure juice. So juicing, now that I led into it, is if you have a juicer, or if you go to like a juice press, or like what's the other ones? The Liquiteria. There's another one that's pretty famous. That well, there's a bunch of them. If you go to one of these juice presses and they give you something that doesn't have the meat in it and it's just the juice, then that's what you're consuming. And juicing can be really beneficial, but I would say it's harder. It's harder to just juice for the 5 days than consuming smoothies as well. One, because it's hard to access a juicer at all times. Sometimes consuming juices too from these places that you purchase them from can be expensive. You know, they can range, you know, anywhere from like $5 to like 12, 15 bucks. So that's not really, you know, realistic for everybody. So if you're at your job and, you know, juicers are pretty big. I mean, you can find the smaller ones, but they're noisy. You know, while a blender, you can find one of those bullets or something like that, and you can use those pretty easily at your workplace or wherever you find yourself throughout the day. So we recommend for option one doing a combination of smoothies and juices. You can pick one over the other. You can do both. If you're gonna do this option, you should do the full 3 days of preparation. You know, for the other ones, you might be able to get away with 2 days of preparation. For this one, definitely 3 days of preparation. So option two is smoothies, juices, and also raw salads. And so this is not a pure green smoothie kind of option, but it's something that's more accessible to folks because maybe your day gets crazy and you can't, you know, blend up stuff all the time, or, you know, you're just running around and you can't get access to smoothies and juices. Salads are a little bit more accessible. They're easier to store. You can put them in a fridge for a longer period of time and they can last a little longer. So salads are a great option. If you're gonna do the raw salads though, for this option, we're not recommending that you put in any nuts. That's for the next option. So this is just raw salads with vegetables and some fruits. You know, no dressing, no Thousand Islands, nothing like that. If you're gonna put any kind of dressing, it's gonna be like lemon juice or, you know, some salt and pepper and, you know, things like that. But really try to keep it as raw as possible, and, you know, make sure you clean your veggies good, and make sure, you know, you're not eating anything in excess, because sometimes if you eat some vegetation raw in excess, it could be bad for you as well. But that's something else. So option three is smoothie juices, raw salads, and also raw nuts or seeds. So similar to option two, you know, you can still eat some salads in this one, but now we're saying that you can also bring in some raw nuts and seeds. So for those who are, you know, concerned about having enough energy and getting enough protein, you know, maybe you're in the middle of a really, you know, exerting kind of exercise program, and maybe you feel like you need some raw nuts and things like that, this is the option for you. I would say though, you know, the last time I did a 10-day smoothie cleanse, I did it straight 10 days of smoothies, and I was on a weight training program that was pretty intense, and I actually found that I had more energy going through the just smoothies versus bringing in the raw nuts and things like that. So you might surprise your body by challenging it. But if you need it, you can do it. Also, too, if you want to bring in nut milks like almond milk and cashew milk and all these kind of things, this would be the option for you. For the smoothies and juices, we recommend that you don't add any kind of milks, even nut milks. So if you're making your smoothie, the base is primarily going to be water-based. Osiris?
Coconut water.
And coconut water, but that could be pricey too. But coconut water is really good. So that you can use an option 1 or 2. Jenny, you got
There's
something?
people on Instagram asking if you would be willing to take questions from Instagram.
Yeah. So if you have questions that you want to, so someone just asked from Instagram. If we're going to be taking questions from Instagram, and we will be taking questions from Instagram. So we have people who are on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook surveying to make sure we get everybody's questions. So definitely submit them, and we'll try to answer all of them. So still going over the options, the 4th option is primarily it was developed for pregnant women and lactating women. This though can be, you don't have to be a pregnant woman to pick this option because basically it's, it's just really, really good eating, really clean eating. So in this option, we're consuming smoothies, juices. We're also eating raw salads. We're eating the raw nuts and seeds. But now we're also bringing in hot soups or stews. And this is really important because when you're cleansing, especially since it's not fully spring yet, the winter months can, be challenging for the body, right? If you're externally cold, your body's working overdrive to keep you warm. And now, especially if you're a pregnant woman, you're burning more and consuming more energy to now, help with the life that's within you. So we want to recommend that you keep yourself warm and you keep your nutrients high by consuming soups and stews. And you can do them hot. They can be, cooked to some degree. Things like the Vitamix, you can make a soup in there if you have a Vitamix, and it doesn't have to be super cooked. It's heated up naturally by the Vitamix, and that's a good option. But this one, this is basically like almost like a raw foods diet with some hot soups. So this is great for everybody. I would say though, if you are pregnant or if you're lactating, to please, get advice from your midwife, your doctor, if you have a doctor, doula, if you have a doula, and make sure, you talk to them about this and you're not just changing up your diet radically while you're in the middle of pregnancy or lactating without getting their professional advice. Because, even though we have a lot of experience with this, everyone's different. You might have a high-risk pregnancy, or you might, have deficiency in iron currently and all these things. And definitely, the cleanse will help with all those nutrients, but you want to make sure you're getting a well-rounded diet and not risking anything when it comes to your child and feeding your child if you're breastfeeding. So those are the 4 main tiers. We're going to take questions about them in a little bit. We're going to go first through the whole packet, and then we're going to start the Q&A session. So the next slide, can you guys see that?
Yeah.
I don't know why it's coming out like that. So the next slide, or the next page, page 4, if you're looking at your packet, is some recommended daily activities, some items we suggest to use for the cleanse, and also ways to engage via social media. So the first thing is daily activities. So for daily activities, these are not, again, these are purely recommendations, but based off of our experience, these are some of the things that can definitely heighten your cleanse. Because even though this is a nutritional cleanse, we also want to do other forms of cleansing because it's a perfect time to do it. When you're doing a nutritional cleansing, your body is open and more responsive to other forms of cleansing. So different things that we recommend. One thing that we recommend is to start incorporating a daily yoga practice. The recommendation is to do a morning yoga and an evening yoga practice if you can while you're cleansing. So the yoga practice, it could be as small as 5 to 15 minutes, or as long as 60 minutes to 90 minutes if you have the time for it. But especially in the morning time when you first wake up during cleansing, your body is feeling a lot of energy from the nutrients that you've consumed. You went through you know, 6 to 8 hours of sleeping, and your body has recovered and restored. And in the morning is when your mind is most aware and most receptive to yoga practice. So even if it's just doing some downward dog or some warrior 2, and then doing, you know, savasana and relaxation pose for a couple minutes, is a great way to start your day. You can also bring in some meditation, which we also recommend, but you can bring it into your yoga practice in the morning or evening as well. We also recommend that people drink herbal teas. You can bring in some caffeine this way if you want to drink caffeinated teas. You know, this can be a lifesaver for those who are dealing with the coffee withdrawal. You know, the yerba mate that we recommend is one of those teas that, you know, it has a good amount of caffeine in it, and it gives you a good amount of energy. So if you're feeling drained, if your adrenals are fatigued, it can really help. And it also has a lot of other beneficial things to it. But the herbal teas can, you know, heal up your gut. They can help with restoring the floralness in your gut, all these good things. And there's so many different qualities to different teas that you can find that are beneficial, especially if you're, you know, pregnant or if you're a lactating mother. There's some great teas like raspberry leaf teas and all these kind of things that you can find that are very beneficial. We also recommend doing not only meditation, but breathing practice through meditation. So if you know pranayama, you can also practice that during your cleanse. If you don't, you can YouTube it and you can find some good pranayama drills. And also too, I know there's some people who practice it who are participating in the cleanse. So if you want to share any articles or videos online about that, that'd be appreciated. We also recommend that people do journal writing. So journal writing, we're not only talking about, you know, going on your computer and writing a blog on like how your cleanse is going. That's good. But we're like physically talking about writing in a journal. The practice of putting pen to paper can help you understand your experience a little bit better. It can help you verbalize it, you know, conceptualize it a little better if you write it out. And it is a very healing experience. We'll talk about it a little bit more because I know people have thoughts on this stuff too, but journal writing is a great thing to do, even if it's only, you know, writing out a couple lines every day at the end of the day as a reflection of your experience, you know, good and bad. We also recommend that people cut off electronics at sunset. So this one might not be as practical for people. You know, many of us live in New York who are participating, and it's a busy city and there's always electricity on. But we want to cut it out as much as possible during the cleanse at least. If you can find time this week to turn off electronics or to turn off all major electronics at a certain hour, we recommend that you do so to disconnect. Obviously, there's some physical things going on with the energy levels coming out of the electronics that can be exhausting and draining for your body, and you might not even realize it. But also, we want to have that disconnect so that we can have a deeper connection with ourselves and our loved ones that we live with. So, you know, turning off your electronics, you know, if you can't turn off your cell phone because of work or whatever, if you work around the clock, you know, at least put it on silent. Make sure it's not sitting by your pillow like a lot of people do, which is really, really bad for you anyways. You know, if you're in your house, put on some candles, turn on some music, you know, keep the radio away from you, but turn on some music. Whatever you got to do to relax and really connect with yourself and your loved ones is definitely recommended. We also have a recommendation of reading a book by candlelight before bed. And this sounds a little odd because you're like, why are we recommending it? You know, one thing, obviously you should read more. Everyone should be reading more. You should read books more. It's good for your eyes and for your mind. And if you know, have a family and you have loved ones, reading aloud is also a great practice because you can connect with your kids and your spouse and things like that. Especially if you're pregnant, you know, you can be speaking to your child as they're in the womb, which is a great practice. But doing it by candlelight is great for your eyes and is also allowing yourself to get into a restful state. So constantly, all our electronics and the lights that we use in our house use a form of light called blue light. And this light really, really keeps you awake and alert. And it triggers things in your brain so that you can't get into that deep sleep. And also too, you can't generate the hormones, specifically melatonin, that help with you allowing you to go to sleep. So a lot of the foods that you're going to be consuming have a good source of melatonin, and you should look that up too. But doing the candlelight reading is going to help with getting just plain natural red light in your eyes, and that's helpful. There's also some applications for the phone and for the computer that help filtering out blue light and you know, highlighting red light. And if you have to be on your computer after sundown, we recommend that you use those applications. Does anybody remember the names? Flux is the one that you can use for, I think it's for PC and Mac, right? So
That's really good.
it's F.LUX, so Flux, but it has a dot after the F. So download Flux. I'm pretty sure it's free, right?
It is.
So it's a free application you can get onto your computer, and it's like a timed response with the time of the day based off of where you live. It times when it starts dimming out the lights and putting on the red light on your computer. So that can be helpful. We also recommend that you purchase Epsom salt and different essential oils. Like lavender is a great one for relaxation. So if you can bathe every evening, it's a great cleansing practice, and bringing in the Epsom salt and getting the minerals into your body, which we're going to talk about a little bit later, can be very, very beneficial. And same thing with the essential oils. So some suggested items you need for the cleanse. The first thing we see there is blender, juicer, and you're like, but don't I need that to do the cleanse? You don't. So if you can't get a blender, or if you can't get a juicer, you got to buy it. You got to buy juices at the store, or you got to go to your friends and hang out with them and steal juices from them. You know, maybe you buy the product and they have the blender, and you guys mix it up and have a juice party. We've done that a lot. So it's not essential, but it's obviously recommended that you have a blender juicer. There's been a lot of recommendations in past cleanses for inexpensive blenders. So I encourage people to please post on the Facebook page and the Plant Strong group page all their suggestions for, you know, affordable blenders and their ratings, how they think they stand, because I know a couple of them are cheap, but you know, they break apart on the first or second blend, and that's not good. You'll have chunky avocado soup for dinner, which might be good. Right. We'll talk about that later too. So that's one recommendation. We also recommend that you get a tongue scraper. So tongue scrapers aren't super expensive, and you can find them all over the city nowadays at different health food shops, or like, you know, Whole Foods or Fairway and places like that. They all have tongue scrapers. You can also find them online. So again, if someone has a recommendation, please post it on the Facebook group page of the different tongue scrapers that you can get. But tongue scraping is great. It's a great practice to do daily for hygiene health. But really, you want to scrape off all that bacteria that you have on your tongue that sits there for days. You know, brushing with a toothbrush on your tongue really doesn't get rid of the bacteria. In fact, sometimes it makes it worse. So tongue scraping is a great way to clean that all out. And you'll be surprised the first time you scrape, all the stuff you get off is nasty. So then another recommendation is a supplement, actually, and we're going to talk a little bit more about supplements later, but it's called psyllium husk powder. And psyllium husk powder is like a fiber supplement. So during the cleanse, since you're doing this radical change to your diet, you might find that your body doesn't know how to respond initially, and you might have trouble with digesting or going to the bathroom. Evacuation can vary for different people. You know, some people, when you're consuming smoothies, they might just go once or twice a day. Some people might see that they go more frequently, you know, up to 5 times a day. And we're talking about evacuation. Obviously, peeing, you're gonna pee like crazy when you're cleansing, but you know, evacuation. So you want to make sure that whatever it is, there's no right or wrong amount of evacuation during the cleanse, but you have to listen to your body. If you feel like you need to evacuate and you can't, then maybe you need to bring in this psyllium husk. And really, it's just like taking a couple spoonfuls into water and just drinking it down. It doesn't take, it tastes like oatmeal a little bit, not even.
You just gotta drink it really fast.
Yeah, drink it fast because it expands. Not because it's nasty, it expands very quickly. So you want to drink it so that it can expand in your stomach and do all the good stuff to your gut. But you know, you don't even have to take it if you're evacuating good. Don't worry about it. But it's just something that we said might be a good thing to have on hand just in case. And there's also too, there's different kind of smoothies that you can make that will help with evacuation more than others. You know, if you get a lot of green apples and pears in your system, you're gonna have some good times in the bathroom. So obviously, we talked about the Epsom salt. We're going to talk about more about minerals such as magnesium a little bit later. Essential oils, things like lavender, frankincense. What's that one called? Myrrh. I always forget how to pronounce it. Myrrh. So we'll talk more about that later. But bringing in those oils is great. You want to make sure you're getting them in the pure form, and you're not getting like some lotion that has lavender and jojoba bean oil and all that kind of stuff with a bunch of garbage. You want to get the pure oils. If you can, obviously a journal or notebook so you can write out, and dry brush. So if you don't know about dry brushing, there's a lot of good content online nowadays. There wasn't a couple months back, but in the recent couple months, people have been posting a lot of stuff about dry brushing. And a dry brush is similar to like a tongue scraper that you can find in health food shops or Whole Foods or things like that. You might have seen them before. You thought they were like shower brushes because they kind of look like it, but they're a little bit more coarse and stiff, the actual brush, and you don't wet it. You actually scrape your skin basically. Scraping is a bad term. You brush your skin. But this is to cleanse out your lymphatic system, and you know we can do a whole educational on that, but basically just cleaning out all the toxins from your skin and the layers underneath your skin. There's a special technique to do it. And you can find it online, but the most general way to understand that if you're dry brushing is that you want to brush to center. So you start with your extremities, you start with your arms and legs, and then you brush to center, your stomach, your heart, all that good stuff. So so those are the recommendations in terms of items that we prescribe. In terms of social media, so social media, again, we talked about how it can be bad to be super connected and to be online all the time. But we also understand that we live in a society where one of the ways that we exchange ideas most constantly is through social media. So we want to make sure that we're utilizing social media in a healthy way. So for the cleanse, this is a great time to start using social media for something productive and not just going on there for bonchichera. So, you know, going onto social media and sharing your experiences, good, bad. You know, if you had a rough day, sharing it on social media, because the likelihood of other people having had rough days is very high. You know, like that first day where everyone's like, oh my God, I just want to eat something solid. You know, if someone shares that on social media, others comment, and you feel that support and you feel that camaraderie, which is really important for the cleanse. Also, too, if you have any questions, one of the biggest things about Revolutionary Fitness is we don't want to dictate what your cleanse should look like or what your experience should be like, but rather we want to be there to support you. So whatever your experience is, if you share that online on social media, we can reply to it. We can provide guidance as much as we can. And if we can't provide guidance because it's outside of our scope of practice, we can make recommendations for, you know, where you can get that information. But social media is very important. You know, we're using the hashtag this time around. Plant Strong Equinox is the hashtag we're using. So again, if you're on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, that's how you access questions today, is you go on and you use that hashtag and you mention us, RevFitNYC. And of course, you know, we encourage everybody to follow us and like us and all that good stuff. That's always helpful. But also too, if you can, as part of your experience, if you can find time every day to go on and make a comment or make a response at least once a day. You know, these cleanses, we usually have around like 100 people to 150 people participating. So all those comments and all that sharing of wealth is really beneficial to the whole community. So we encourage you all to do it. So on the last page of the packet, I don't know if you guys can see it there. It's kind of hard to see there, but everyone has it in their email. It's just some recommendations for different recipes you can try. The cool thing about these recipes, I think we have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We have 13 recipes on here. These are all recipes that were made in one of our last cleanses, or maybe 2 cleanses combined. So these are actual participants. So everyone from the community, people sitting in this room, people who are online right now, all contributed to this list. Because again, there's no fixed way of how how the cleanse should look for you or what your recipe should look like. You know, you should be experimental and try out different things. But these were some that people liked and that they made and that they shared with us, and they've been fan favorites since. So, you know, there's savory recipes on here that have some spices and things like that. There's also, you know, refreshing spring-like recipes on here. There's stuff, again, like that's going to help you use the bathroom, stuff that is going to help make you feel full, all those kind of things. So definitely check out that recipe list, try it out. And whatever recipes you try out too, we encourage you to share that online as well. So the last thing I want to say about recipes before we go into the Q&A, because I know there's going to be tons of questions about this stuff, is actually understanding the ratio of vegetables and fruits. So we call this a green smoothie cleanse because it's primarily greens that we want to be consuming. Now we want to still get in, you know, the fruits and the coconut oil and all that kind of stuff, but coconut water. But we don't want to make the smoothie majority fruits. And the reason we don't want to do majority fruits is because that's high sugar content. Even though it's natural sugar, it's high sugar content, and you're not getting all the nutrients, the vitamins and minerals that come from a well-balanced diet when you're consuming a lot of greens. So the general rule with recipes is that at the end of blending up your smoothie or whatever, your juice, it has to be green. It could be a different shade of green, but that's kind of like the only rule, is that it has to be green. And
it turns brown, though.
Yeah, sometimes it turns brown. Put some spirulina or something in there, make it green. But the thing is that we always say this every year, and then someone goes on Facebook and shares like a purple joint, and it looks mad good. But yeah, because even like beets you don't want to consume too much. Beets have a crazy high sugar content. So even like more than just one serving of beets a week can be too much. And you don't want to, you know, have to know all this stuff. You know, you don't have to be a nutritionist to understand all this stuff. But if you follow that general rule of keeping it green and getting a good mixture of stuff, then you should be all right. And in terms of taste buds and what tastes good, I would say the general rule that we've practiced is 3 to 5 ingredients. Anytime you go over 5 ingredients, it just becomes like a mesh of like craziness and doesn't taste like nothing. So you can try 10 ingredients if you want, but usually 3 to 5 ingredients is how to keep it nice and safe and make it taste good. And you're gonna have smoothies that don't taste good, but just you know, have fun with it and have different experiences. So we're gonna do something. The program's changing up a little bit because I want Gabriella to speak to everybody for a little bit. So before we actually go into Q&As, I'll talk to her. We're gonna go Q&As first, and then we're gonna have Gabriella talk. So we have questions here in the room, but we also are probably getting questions online. So go ahead and submit your questions online, and we'll get to them when we can. But any questions from the room so far on the packet or comments?
I forgot. What can we do? Like cold press or like apple cider vinegar or like cold press oils or something like that? Is that
so? Now for this, so the question is, can you use like oils, cold press oils, apple cider vinegar? Apple cider vinegar you can use on any of the tiers, but the oils we're not recommending unless you're doing option 3 or 4.
okay?
To keep the oils out. But again, you can be flexible. You can bring in, like, for instance, I know when I feel like I'm not getting enough energy, I'll put some coconut oil into something to get the fatty acids. So there's flexibility on that. But
the oils is tricky because they have to be a good oil, not just like something.
yeah, first press, all that good stuff,
Yeah.
or cold press, yep. And so definitely get good oils into your body. Oils can be very beneficial, and they can help with cleansing, and they can help with coating the lining of your gut and for a healthy evacuation process. But they also, you know, they make the body work a little bit. You know, you have to digest the oils and you have to get them through your body. And one of the things about the cleansing is we want to make the body work as little as possible to give it a week of resting.
Okay.
Yeah. So do we have any Twitter or Instagram?
No.
What about the person that was on Instagram before?
She asked if she could ask and she doesn't ask.
Yeah, nice. Good. So go ahead. If you're viewing online, go ahead and submit your questions. Anyone have any comments? I know we talked about the daily practices, and I know, Osiris, you're big on this stuff, the journal writing, the meditation. You have any recommendations or comments on how to practice that stuff?
Really, the Epsom salt bath and the tongue scraping for me are big during the cleanse. Since the last cleanse or the one before that, we got started to tongue scraping, so it's not something that it should be, you know.
How do you tongue scrape a little boy?
We show it to him first, like, look, and then make it fun. Honestly, that's really the answer. We make it fun, and sometimes it works, and other days it's not gonna work. So you know, you kind of like just let it be. But I feel like the tongue scraping is very important because of the you get to really taste the flavors of the the smoothies. So I think that one's really big, I would say.
Because you have a lot of, so people don't know, taste buds are obviously, there's a couple of things that affect taste buds. And there's taste buds that start at the back of your mouth. But also too, I mean, there's a psychological thing that goes on. So when you cleanse, you'll be restoring some of your taste buds and the receptors, the mechanoreceptors in your body. But tongue scraping actually gets rid of that bacteria that might be blocking some of your taste buds. Because you'll find all the time that people like eat healthy things and you think it tastes great. They're like, oh, you gotta taste this thing. I know you're not into healthy stuff, but taste this. And then they eat it and they're like, it still don't taste good. It might be because their taste buds are a little off. So tongue scraping can definitely help with that and open up the taste buds. And the Epsom salt bath, do you have a recommendation how much Epsom salt you use, or?
I mean, I use about half a cup on the tub. I mean, already has like a standard size tub, but I use about half to 3/4 when I have days where I'm like, you know, riding all day and going, you know, martial arts, I do a full cup. But it's just hot water. Honestly, as hot as you can take it is what I found to be the way to be. And it's just 10-15 minutes. So it's not like you're laying there for half an hour, you know, whatever, falling asleep in the tub. But the Epsom salt is really nice to calm you down. I like to do it before going to bed with some lavender oil in the water as well. And honestly, you sleep like a baby. Like you just, if you have any sleep problems, the Epsom salt with the lavender is really good. Now going into a little bit more on the mental, because I feel that part of the Green Smoothie Cleanse is very mental. You get to a point that you want to eat, you're gonna miss chewing, and it's just a habit. You know, it's just another thing of, you know, us being habitual animals. So if you're able to really calm those thoughts down through meditation, I feel that that's really the best way. Even if you've never meditated before, you even know what meditation is, but just sitting in a quiet room before leaving for work or before leaving your house for school, whatever it is you do, for 10 minutes is you know, very recommended practice. You get to center yourself, kind of like prepare yourself for what the day's gonna look like. And even, you know, I've recently started doing this. I've known about it for a while, but I've never actually practiced it. But having positive affirmations for yourself, like, you know, you are whatever, you know, you fill in a positive affirmation for yourself, however you want to, you know, share with yourself. It's really good meditation. You know, it's not about sitting there going for 10 minutes, but it can be, if you know what that is. But you can really sitting there and just calming your thoughts down. I feel that really helps you have a successful cleanse. Not that there isn't an unsuccessful, but I'm saying make it less painful, you know, more, or even have more clarity, actually is the best way to say it. Have more clarity during the cleanse if you incorporate meditation and yoga, as you mentioned earlier. I think that that's a big part to mention during the cleanse, because the mental can, you know, take you over.
Definitely. So anyone in the room here who is not doing the cleanse or still on the fence about it? So what's your apprehensions?
I've done a cleanse before. I've done one cleanse before, and I didn't do it very well. I got caught up in my work and ended up eating solid foods before, and eating like greasy, carby solid foods before I should have, and had a really bad reaction. So that set a sort of
What kind of cleanse was it?
It was a what's the word? sort of taking the big allergens out. It wasn't a liquid cleanse. It wasn't a smoothie or a juicing cleanse. It was just taking out big allergens like sugar, gluten, animal proteins, animal products really. And it was sort of a light breakfast, bigger lunch, and then liquid breakfast, liquid dinner, and then a more solid big lunch.
So what was the bad stuff that you experienced?
I had one night where I threw up. I haven't thrown up in years, and my body just purged like so much. And I had to do a lot of bring a lot of mindfulness to that and think about what's the emotional, spiritual, physical things that I was purging and what was really coming with that. So I'm still processing and digesting that cleanse. But this is good to be here and kind of hear about all the stuff that you're bringing to a cleanse and reminding me of how holistic it can really be.
How long was that?
That was going into winter.
Oh, this is recent.
So Gabrielle was just talking about, for those who are online who might have not heard her, she was talking about that she went through a cleanse in the early part of the winter, but she didn't prep that well for it and had a bad experience. And are you apprehensive about doing another cleanse? Still reflecting on that cleanse before she jumps into anything else. And I would say if anyone had similar experiences to it, maybe you had a bad experience or maybe you have apprehensions because of something in the past, then you shouldn't feel, pressured into doing the full out cleanse per se, but maybe it's bringing in more smoothies into your daily life for the next 5 days. Maybe that's the starting point for you. Maybe it's like one smoothie in the morning, one smoothie in the evening or something like that, and see what kind of effect that has on your body. And maybe after a day or two of doing that, you feel motivated to do a bigger transition into a bigger cleanse. Anyone in the room, have you ever done any cleanses different from this kind of cleanse, from a green smoothie cleanse, other than that one? Anyone done any fasting?
I was gonna say I've done 10 days and 5 days of water, lemon, teas. Yeah.
What was those?
10 days.
That's my Ayurveda.
So what happened with the 10 days? How was that experience?
I mean, I was younger, and honestly, I don't even know how I was able to do it because I was younger. But it was hard. It was very hard. You're finding yourself that you're drinking a lot of teas because the teas really calm you down. But it really is tough. I mean, it's just water and lemon. But it was too long ago to be able to tell you more details than I'm remembering that it was just tough as well.
Yeah, water and lemon cleansing, or just straight up fasting, consuming water and lemons, or you could just do teas like you were doing. All that stuff is super beneficial, but you need a little bit more guidance than what we're giving for this kind of cleanse. You need a little bit more professional support when you go through that kind of cleanse, I would say. And also, too, many people do it for the wrong reasons. Many people think that cleansing or fasting is for weight loss, and it's not at all. You might lose I'll get to you in a second. You might lose a couple pounds this week. You might lose like 5 or 10 pounds or something like that. But a lot of it is water weight. A lot of it is kaki that's just been sitting in there that you're just getting rid of. So you're not really losing any weight. A lot of men especially are like, I don't want to lose my muscle. I want to cleanse. You're not going to lose any muscle in 5 days. That's not how it works, especially if you're working out regularly. You might gain some muscle. But a lot of people go in with these kind of wrong concepts of cleansing and or fasting. And thus, they either do something harmful to their body, or after they're done, they just put on all that weight because then they gorge. And, it wasn't really a cleansing process for them. It was kind of just like a quick fix to a deeper issue. But that's not what we're doing. So this is not a weight loss cleanse. So if you're trying to lose some weight, come work out with us too. So Natalie, what you got?
No, I've noticed that I've been kind of like subconsciously semi-fasting. Like I've noted like in the day I'm like, damn, I only ate once today. And I've been kind of like turned off by food lately. Nothing's really, I don't know. I think I'm over it. So I think I'm kind of like getting really mentally prepared for this cleanse too. My body needs it.
Yeah. So what from the past cleanses you've done, what do you think you're going to get from this cleanse that's gonna address that? Like, what about this cleanse? What does it do?
It kind of resets. For me, a cleanse always resets everything. Like, it kind of puts me back where I should be. So, for example, like in the wintertime, we eat all the heavy stuff, all the like really like comforting stuff. And if you're eating out, I live uptown. They're very heavy with the salt. We're and I've noticed that after you finish this cleanse, your taste buds kind of reset. So you realize that like that thing that you would, that burger you really liked is really salty from the same place that you just ordered from. Like, you're just very sensitive to taste, and you kind of cut back on the salt and also on the portions. So when we finished it, we did like a group. We broke the cleanse together in a restaurant last year. And it was a big group of us, and we all were super excited about eating, and we ordered all this food. Everyone had like a quarter of their plate, and we were like stuffed. We could not eat anymore. So we also get very conscious of the portions that we eat. We're like, listen, you don't need to eat all of this, just because it's there. So it helps. And obviously you kind of end up going back to your old ways if you don't monitor it. But it's good to kind of like be mindful of it once you like break the cleanse and be like, okay, now that I know that, my body's kind of like reset, I can be mindful of these things moving forward, and try not to go back into the same kind of like routine that I was doing before.
And you were also breastfeeding.
Yeah.
You're still breastfeeding, right? Or no, I don't remember. You were breastfeeding last cleanse.
I was breastfeeding 2 cleanses. So one, I did it and I wasn't supposed to, and he was mad little. The reason why you're not supposed to do it when you're breastfeeding is because apparently you're releasing the toxins. The toxins also get released through the breast milk, so your child essentially is kind of like receiving the toxins. My child's okay though, but the second time around I did it nursing him. He was bigger though, so it wasn't that much. But yeah, it gets tired. It's tiring, but it's just right. You can have as many smoothies as you want. So I never felt like hungry. Like, I never felt like, oh, I need more calories. If not, I'll just have another smoothie.
And you had salads.
And I had salads. I think I even made like soup at home. The thing about the soups though is that you should make them at home because soups are so salty.
Yeah, that's true. Jenny, you had something?
I think someone on IG said if they can use chia seeds and chicken tier 1.
So on the smoothies one, you can use chia seeds, yeah. Because chia seeds we would classify as, when it gets fermented in the water and expanded, we would say that's semi-plant.
You should mention about maca powder and all those as well.
Yeah.
For option 1.
So there's different kind of supplements you can take in. Again, this is a case by case, whatever you think your body needs. Like for instance, like we were saying earlier, if you're a pregnant woman and you're iron deficient, you're going to get a lot of your iron in through your dark leafy greens during the cleanse. But if you're fearful about it, you want to take the risk, maybe an iron supplement. There's vegan options and stuff like that, plant-based options. That might be something that you do during the cleanse. Then you can consume things like chia seeds and maca powder. And all these things have different benefits and can also help with creating different tastes in smoothies. And that can be enjoyable as well. Like maca, for instance, has like a chalky texture, and so it can make things taste kind of milky. So if you're just doing like water-based and then you have some maca powder in there, that could be beneficial too. You have any other ideas on different supplements?
I'm trying to think of what else we use. The thing is also, like, supplements are good. The really good thing about green smoothies that I personally like, the education aspect of it, is that you can really, it's not a meal replacement per se, but you can survive off of green smoothies. This is what I feel like is a big takeaway from the cleanses that we do, because they're so high in nutrients that people feel like I'm not gonna be able to have just one, and then you make 2, and then the other one is just sitting there like, maybe I should just make 1.
Yeah.
So this is a big, for anybody who's never done this before. This is I'm letting you know from jump that your 1 is going to be good enough, but make 2 if you really want. Like if you feel like have a big stomach in the beginning, you may want to have 2, but by the end, going to the whole portion control, you're gonna feel like 1 is enough. I just like you, last time I was doing, I was on a program. I ride my bike regularly, and I was having maybe at the top six smoothies a day.
No. But
You know what I'm saying?
he rides his bike like 50 miles a day. Regularly is not regular. He's a bike rider. This is what he does. Yeah, weight training program.
Right, that's what I'm saying. At max, with all that, I'm doing 6. But if you're not doing all that, you're probably gonna be able to get away with 3 or 4, maybe 3. So.
Jenny?
Yeah, you have questions for me.
Yep. Yeah.
So from YouTube, Marie wants you to repeat how she can get the packet info. She didn't hear it. It was on silent.
So Marie, it was on silent. Damn, that was a slip up on my part. So Marie, on YouTube, you can go to the email that we sent out earlier today. It was sent out at 9 a.m. Eastern time. And in that email, there's a little image of like journals. And then below it says, this is the pamphlet, blah, blah, blah. Click on that and it'll take you to a PDF version of the pamphlet. So everybody, if you signed up to our newsletter, you should have received that. Did everybody get that in the room? Everybody signed up to the newsletter and stuff? So if you didn't get that and you haven't signed up to the newsletter, or you signed up late or something like that, just send us a message and we'll make sure we'll get you the information after this meeting.
Okay, the next question is from Douglas, also on YouTube, wants to know about hemp seeds. Do they need to be ground like flax seeds?
Nice, Douglas. What's up, man? I haven't seen you in a long time. So Douglas, so chia seeds, if you put them into water, they are allowed to ferment for a little bit. 10 minutes is a recommendation at the very minimum. Then your body can digest them and they're easy to consume. Flax seeds, not so much. So that's why we recommend that you get grinded flax seeds or flaxseed oil or something like that. It's a little easier. The whole flax seeds are hard for your body to digest, and you might see it when you go poopy. So so anything fermented is always a sure bet. Try to ferment things if you can. If you don't know how to do that, chia seeds is easy because it's just in water. Grinding it up will be good to help for the body to absorb it.
So I guess my question is for me being pregnant, and if I'm going to consume, say, but when I have smoothies, do I need to steam some of the greens before I consume them, just to make sure that I'm not taking any like bacteria or anything that might be on greens, that if it's not organic?
Yeah, so the question is, should you steam your greens slightly before putting them in the blender? And also a question of buying organic, and specifically too for pregnant women to be more conscious of it. So obviously if you're pregnant, you definitely have to be more conscious. You can't take as much risk as you could if you weren't pregnant, because when you're not, if you get sick when you're not pregnant, it's whatever, when you're pregnant, it's you have a life force that's depending on you. So organic, there's certain foods that you need to buy organic and certain you don't. But also too, Revolutionary Fitness, we are always talking about how can we make it most accessible for our people, working class people, people of color, who are coming from communities where maybe you don't have access to regular organic food, or maybe it's overpriced or things like that. I would say, there's some certain things that you shouldn't be eating that are not organic, like things like celery and even grapes, and there's tons of lists on there online. You can find some great lists of like what you must have and must not have in organic. Yeah, the Dirty Dozen, I think, is one of the lists. So that's important to check up on. And I would say if you can't buy them organic because they're not accessible to you, then just don't put it into your diet this week, and just avoid them if you can. But don't get crazy about the other stuff making everything organic. Like I can have organic underwears on, it doesn't really matter, right? So like, don't get too caught up into that fad as well, because that can be dangerous. And did I answer everything in that question?
The steaming.
Oh, and steaming, yeah, steaming is, so this gets a little bit more technical because there's certain dark leafy greens especially that are better consumed when they're slightly steamed. Not cooked. We're not talking about cooking vegetation because then you kill all the nutrients. But if you slightly steam certain vegetables, especially things like kale, for instance, you're gonna kill things in there that you want to kill. There's certain things in dark leafy greens that protect those dark leafy greens from being eaten by humans. They don't want to be eaten by humans. They don't want to be eaten by anybody. So they have like little defense mechanisms in the form of like little poisons. Poison is a harsh word, but if consumed in excess, if you consume too much excess kale raw, you can get really sick. So steaming it can kill some of those things. So it could be beneficial for the dark leafy greens to steam it slightly before you blend it. And also too, if you're making a savory kind of smoothie, that could be cool too, to have a little steamed vegetation.
Right. I remember doing it once when we made a soup, is that I cut everything up, put it in the blender, and then I let the water boil, come to a boil, then put the water in with the veggies and let that sit for another 2 minutes before you blend it.
Okay.
And then that, I mean, the blending itself is also going to warm it up too, so it's going to get,
There you go.
so you get, that's, making,
That's the
essentially,
Vitamix would be
Yeah, if you got,
making a soup. So.
if you bougie and got a Vitamix. I got a Vitamix, I'm bougie on that front. It's expensive though.
That's a good thing to be bougie.
It's expensive. Not everybody got it.
We got another question from Arlene.
Okay.
She wants to know, I guess Osiris had mentioned this, but I don't know if she got it. She wants to know if she can pre-make juices or if she has to make them fresh when she's about to drink them.
Right. So the minute that you blend up a juice, make a smoothie or juice it to make a juice, you start, it starts getting oxidated. So it starts dying basically. It starts losing nutritional content. So you want to consume the smoothie or the juice as soon as possible. Now, that's not to say that all your smoothies have to be consumed right on the second. You might not have that luxury, but the quicker you consume it, the more nutrients you'll get from it. Now, if something is sitting out, in the open after it's been blended for an hour or two, it can lose a lot of nutrients and you'll see it and you'll taste it. It won't taste the same. And you know that it's losing a lot of nutritional value. But you can freeze things and you can have them frozen and bring those little frozen packets to your job if that's a little bit more accessible to you. You can put things in a refrigerator for a couple hours and increase the shelf life. But again, you should err on the side of trying to consume it after you make it. And that might mean investing in like a little, what is it, NutriBullet? That's what they're called. The little NutriBullets that you can bring to the job. Or going to a restaurant or store around you to get it. But to make it most accessible, we don't want to say you have to consume it when you blend it or you juice it. That's just not practical for everybody. Just try your best to get it as close to making it as possible.
And if you're storing it, or even when you serve it, just be a little bit more mindful on the use of plastic. So if you can, use like a coffee mug, what are they called?
Mason jar.
Mason jars, of course, gas jar. What do they call those coffee? People ever use it?
Thermos.
A thermos. Thank you. My bad. You got this. Thermos are very helpful. So, and there's also just the environmental aspect of using plastic is an aspect too.
So we got another 25 minutes for Q&As. I wanted to speak about really quickly, since no one's asking about it. Osiris kind of talked to it, Natalie kind of talked to it a little bit, but when you're cleansing, when you're going through any kind of cleanse, but especially nutritional cleansing, your relationship to food is going to change, or you're at least going to have a better understanding of your relationship to food. I always tell people that the cleansing for me is not hard physically per se, because I've done it a couple of times, so I know I'm gonna have enough energy. I know when I'm gonna have a headache, right? That day 2 of getting coffee out of my body, I'm gonna have a headache. I know those things are gonna happen. So that the physical part of it is not so challenging for me personally. It might be for others. But once you overcome the physical, you start realizing that the bigger battle is your mental relationship with food. What does food mean to you? Why do you eat food? When do you eat certain types of food? You might not understand what that is right now, because you just consume and it just happens and it's like subconscious. But now when you go through this cleanse, you're gonna find that you're gonna question when you're urging certain things, or what kind of things are you urging. Like for me, it's not even like, it's more, I've always said this, that my relationship to food is more for enjoyment than anything else, because I realized on my first cleanse, like, I'm a personal trainer, I'm in the gym all the time, I'm lifting heavy weights all the time. I was like, oh man, this is physically gonna be too much for me to cleanse. And I realized it wasn't. I realized that I already ate too much and consumed too much. But then I started realizing like, oh, but it's fun for me. I like to go out and eat. I like to try different things. I like to have different textures in my mouth. So it's a form of entertainment for me, you know? And if I understand that, that's not saying it's bad. It's not bad. That relationship's not a bad thing. It just is what it is. And now that I'm conscious of it, I can understand when I'm eating a little bit too much. All right, maybe I need to take a step back. Or, you know, like this winter was a long winter. So I know everybody was eating some reckless stuff this winter and their belts are feeling kind of tight right now. But, you know, through this practice, you'll change that relationship and it's going to be different for everybody. That's just my experience. Does anybody have any thoughts on changing relationship with food or liberating yourself through food? I'm talking to Gabriella because she knows I'm hinting at her.
I do have some thoughts.
Go ahead.
I've been writing some stuff down, sort of based on my experience with food. I noticed that when I was going through a cleanse, not only did I have a moment where I was actually purging, but I also had some physical stuff come up with, like I had some eczema come up on my hands that I had never had before, which really tuned me into, when I've done yoga, I've noticed one side is more flexible than another. Or when I've done acupuncture, I've noticed when the needle's going on one side, it hurts, and on another side, it doesn't. So really tuning into my body and then noticing where is there an imbalance that's happening on like a larger level, and that mindfulness is something you can bring beyond the cleanse. So the cleanse for me has really been a way of clearing out all the sort of static that's happening in your life, so you can sort of see more clearly and hear more clearly the messages that your body is telling you to be a more balanced person in all areas of your life. Another big thing that I noticed was part of the reason why I fell off the train with my cleanse was because I was trying to push too hard and I was not being, not really acknowledging that I was on a cleanse. And when you're on a cleanse, you do have to listen to your body. And I was just kind of like being reckless with how much energy I was putting out, and just not doing it in a mindful way. I was just kind of like work, and not pausing to check in how I was doing. So that's something that I've been doing more even beyond the cleanse, is constantly like, where am I at right now at lunch break? Like, where am I at? How am I doing? And then as I keep working, saying, okay, like I need to sort of clear my mind a little bit more, or I need to kind of do some stretches or whatever that is. Another big thing is as you like take foods out and you bring foods in, you might notice that you react more strongly when you take like the grains out and the gluten out versus when you take maybe like the solid parts out, or depending on like the different levels, notice what your body reacts to, because that'll give you some insight as to what you should be eating or not eating. Like maybe you don't ever bring back gluten because it's just not good for you. And then also like with smoothies, like notice what smoothies feel really good. Something I love doing is keeping a food journal, and not just about like I ate this at this time, but I felt really hungry before, or I felt not like I had an appetite, or I was feeling really depressed, or I was feeling really anxious going into the meal, and then afterwards, how was I feeling? Or after the smoothie, how was I feeling? Was I feeling uplifted? Was I feeling bloated? Was I feeling like I got the itis? And like there's so many emotions that happen with your food, and paying attention to that so you can get a little bit more insight. And I think a big thing is like no judgment. I know that I tend to be really hard on myself, and it's like, you failed, you didn't do your cleanse right, but you can always kind of get back on, and you don't have to be like mean to yourself about it. And we're talking about meditation, Osiris was talking about meditation. Something I'm really big about is food energetics, and Dr. Imoto has done some experiments on like the energy you put into water and how that transforms the water crystals, and has taken really awesome pictures of how water changes when you say I love you or you're beautiful versus when you say I hate you, you're rotten, you're worth nothing. And the crystals, when you say I love you and all these beautiful things, are like beautiful snowflakes versus the ugly one. When you say the mean things, they like turn brown and just are totally deformed. And he's done this with rice and other foods. And when you send positive vibrations to rice, for example, it ferments and it comes to life, versus when you said negative energy, it actually turns black and it spoils. And our bodies are made like 70 whatever % water, you know, like everything, you are what you eat, not just on a physical level. So I love definitely meditating before you make your smoothie, or before, you know, people, ancient, our ancestors have always said some kind of prayer or gratitude or what's it called, grace before they eat. And that's just bringing like gratitude and mindfulness and meditation, like calming your brain and bringing it into your food, because that's what's going to nourish you. So I love that too. And I think Natasha, is that your name? Natalie. I loved what you were saying about like, the way that I kind of interpreted it was like choice, having like noticing more and then saying like, I have more power over what I'm eating. Like, I forget how exactly you were phrasing it, but with the cleanse, it sort of brings you like, when you kind of like narrow down the choice you have a little bit, it brings you into like, yes, I don't have to be eating all of this junk food all of the time. Like I have a choice every single day. And that can be really empowering around food. I don't need to go to a bag of Doritos when I'm feeling sad. Like I can actually maybe process those emotions in a different way and then transform my relationship with food. So it's a constant nourishment as opposed to like a support system that isn't like an unhealthy relationship, like an addictive relationship.
Dependency.
Right.
Oh, can I?
Go ahead.
Actually, it is really important that like the way you just kind of think about something and your mentality on it. So for example, you can make something that seems like a negative situation into a positive one. Say like, right, your friend is eating something right in front of you. I did one of these cleanses and my best friend was she was screening her reel for her she's a cinematographer and she was screening her reel for the first time in front of everyone. And then at the end, we went to this Italian spot that had beer and pizza. It was like 2 favorite things ever. And it was an open tab, like the school was paying for it. And I'm like, damn, y'all. I was like, all right, fine. I was like, at first I was like, you know, this sucks that there's pizza in front of me and I can't eat it. And you can look at it in that negative standpoint. You could be positive about it and like, no, you know, like, damn, I'm strong, or I have some good willpower because I'm drinking a smoothie right now and everybody else is eating pizza. I can do this. Like it's
feeling
so
righteous.
doable. Yeah, like, you know, but being positive about it is like, it's not putting anyone else down. It's just, you know, giving yourself the credit. Yes, giving yourself the credit for, you know, for being able to stay strong, you know. And I wanted to ask Sean if maybe he could like kind of talk a little bit about the importance of, I think one of the most important things and the best the RevFit Smoothie Cleanse is the community, and to have this community and not feel like you're alone. Like for me, it's easy because me and my partner are doing it. So in the house, it's like there's no temptation really, but there's a lot of people that are living in a household that if the majority are not doing this cleanse. So I thought it would be.
So yeah, I definitely want to speak to it. I wanted to see though if anyone in the back had any questions. Because I missed the first part, so I know you got some questions. We talked about the different tiers that you can choose from, and we also talked about some suggested recipes, some ways of creating smoothies. Do you guys have any questions about that or anything else or any comments? No pressure. Good so far? All right, cool. So feel free to cut me off whenever you want. Before I get to the community part, I also wanted to talk about affordability, because you know, many times when we're talking about nutrition or eating healthy or being healthy in general, this seems like a very bourgeois concept. It seems like something only for affluent communities. It seems like something that, you know, especially people of color, working class people can't do. You know, it's just not in our culture, or it's just not, you know, part of our reality. And obviously everyone in this room and everyone streaming online right now feels differently about that and feels like it is part of our world. But that is not the majority of people in our communities. And I think when you go through the cleanse, you're going to interact with people who are questioning it or saying, why are you doing that? Or, you know, that's, you know, bougie, or that's for white folks or stuff like that. And you know, everyone should be able to speak to that, because I mean, if we really tie it back to our ancient practices of where our people come from, and even here in these modern times, you know, most of the foods that we like to consume, you know, are from the earth. You know, we're talking about rice, beans, we're talking about even meats, if you do meats, all these things are from the earth. And, you know, I think we need to identify that eating more plants and is not a cultural, there's not cultural barriers. There's political and economic barriers placed on our communities. It's not culturally we don't want to eat more plants and vegetables. It's economically we can't afford it, or economically it's not put in our local bodegas and supermarkets. These are real realities that our people are faced with. If you go to, you know, your local bodega, maybe they don't even have produce. Or if you go to the supermarket, the produce is rotting, or you get it and 2 days later it's bad. Or if you're on any kind of, you know, governmental support, you know, like WIC, for instance. I know there's some pregnant women who are participating in the cleanse. WIC gives you $10 a month for fresh produce. Is ridiculous. So these are real economic barriers, and it's not a cultural reality that we don't consume these things. So that's first off. And also, when you'll see through this cleanse, unless you're like going every day to buy smoothies and juices, which can be very expensive. I mean, some of these juice places, they'll do like a 3-day cleanse for like $150 or something crazy like that. But really, if you're buying it yourself and you're making it yourself, you'll see that you actually save tons of money, and you spend way, like, you know, the money that we spend on food throughout the week, you know, buying $10 at lunch, $15 for dinner, you know, it's just crazy how much money we spend on food. And you'll find that when you're consuming this week, you'll be consuming less food because you won't need as much to satisfy your appetite, because you're gonna get all those vitamins and nutrients, and that's really what the body wants when it says it's hungry. And when you'll be getting all that stuff, you'll find you'll consume less and you'll save lots of money. So it's extremely accessible for working people. I also wanted to talk about anyone, it might sound funny, but people always ask me, can I consume liquor? And no, our recommendation is that you do not consume liquor. I know it's St. Patrick's week, and you know, everyone's told to celebrate alcoholism this week, but we do not recommend that. So do not put it into your diet. If it happens, just like Gabriella said, don't be hard on yourself. Get back on the boat after that. But also be mindful that without consuming hard foods, if you take in any liquor, it's gonna have really crazy effects on your body. And also smoking weed. You know, a lot of people, you know, I don't personally smoke weed. Everyone thinks I do because I have dreadlocks. But if you do smoke weed, that's great. That could be a very healing practice for you. But many of the weeds that we have access to, and especially in New York State where it's still illegal and it's still prohibited, are tainted with all these chemicals and toxins that you don't want to be consuming. So the weed itself is not necessarily bad, right? That's a plant, and you know, if you're into that, that's great. But all the toxins on top of it is not good. So I mean, if you go to a state where it's free and you can get that medical stuff, you know, all power to you. Be flexible. Or if you grow your own, you know, whatever, all power to you. So just getting it out of the way, because I know people are wondering and they just didn't ask about it. And then in terms of the community, that support network is important, because it's not only about like getting more likes on social media and like, you know, getting more friends and followers. Like that's just a byproduct of doing good things and being a good voice on those social networks. But more so the community, whether it's, you know, your spouse or, you know, your friends on Facebook, are super powerful, because there are going to be tons of tough times throughout the cleanse. It's not easy. It's definitely an endeavor. It's not something that you go into lightly. You have to make a commitment to it. And there will be times where you question it, or you feel like you want to fall off the horse. And having that community to tie into and to ask questions and get advice and share experiences with is probably the best part of this cleanse. You know, the healing part of it is great, but the community, the building of community. I mean, there's tons of people who are online right now and here in the room who we've met through these cleanses, or who have participated in these cleanses, and it's had transformative things to their life. And, you know, it's a great thing to be part of that community. So we, again, encourage you to engage on social media, but also in person. Like last cleanse, I think we had it was last cleanse before. There was like 10 of us that got together and we had a smoothie party and we were testing out smoothies, and all that stuff is fun if you're doing it with friends. Have those kind of parties. Also, if something bad is happening, vent. Something. I got a headache. I feel well. The person who's not cleansing is not going to understand that, but the person who is cleansing is going to understand that. Like yesterday, I had the crazy migraine. I said from 2 p.m. until I went to sleep because of my coffee addiction. So my coffee withdrawal was giving me this crazy headache. I knew it was going to happen. It always happens to me on day 2. And my spouse, Jenny, I was just like, yo, just don't do it. Don't get on her. Leave me alone. I got a headache. And she was like, all right, I got you, because she understands. So that support network is important. And if you can't get it in your household or through your friends, you always have a home and friends to tie into through Revolutionary Fitness.
Also, I like to give, when we do these, once a week, and like signs of like what to expect in a sense. And no matter if you've done it or you've never done it before, the 3rd day is usually the toughest day. Like, it's just, no matter how experienced or not experienced you are, it's just very tough. It's just like, I guess the body's going through something that like really getting away from, chewing and all that, and really switching into accepting liquids. So know that the 3rd day, and then of course, everybody's experience is going to be different, but the 3rd, and if you can get over past the 3rd day, know that the rest of the week,
they don't like the 3rd day either.
the rest of the week you'll be able to really fly by the rest of the week.
If I can add something to that, it's actually your body, it's go get food. I fast a lot. So what it does is, since you don't have food, your body cells send a message to your brain. So your brain then sends a message to your stomach. So you get hungry, and since you're laying down, stop resting, and you start burning up the calories in the fat in your body. So then, by the 5th day, your body cells realize that you're not doing anything, so go get food. So then it sends a signal to the brain, and then the brain sends a signal to your whole body, and then actually you get more clarity, and you can see more, you can smell more, you get energy, because now since it didn't work, all those signals it was sending you, you feel like you have headaches, you're vomiting, you feel tired. Since it didn't work, now it gives you all these abilities for you to go get food. It's like a primal instinct thing.
Yeah.
So now you have energy, you can see more, you can smell more. You can basically you can smell, I don't know, a mango from a mile away. So now your body's giving you the ability to go get food now. So that's why by the 5th, 4th day you feel a lot better. That's what happened.
What's your name, brother?
Jaime.
What's up? So yeah, this heightened sense, you're gonna feel it too when it happens. It might feel like, for anyone that does smoke, it might feel like you're getting high a little bit. It might feel like, you get this weird buzz. It's like energy, but it's also all these hormones pumping through your body, and your body finally, what we call hormone optimization, because many of us are just attacking our hormones through the food we eat and our habits and our lifestyles, just depleting them and exhausting them. And then you'll see when you go through this kind of cleanse that you start regulating them and having what you would feel like is superpowers, but it really just is how you should be every day. And you might smell good things like mangoes, but you're also gonna smell bad things. So what you got, Gabriela?
That reminds me, because I think about the menstrual cycle a lot. I think women are super powerful, especially when they're on their menstruation. And that reminds me, because I get like bionic smell the week before I'm about to get my menstruation. I wonder if you guys know, is there like a good time in the cycle to cleanse? Or like, what if you have your body is naturally cleansing already and like releasing toxins? How a cleanse will support or challenge that in any way?
Well, I have thoughts, but I'll let the women answer that.
It's definitely tougher on your cycle. It's tougher on your cycle because your hormones are you already have more testosterone in your body, so you're not acting like your normal self. But it's just being mindful of it. I feel I was on my cycle for one of the cleanses, and I just know that I eat my feelings when I'm when I'm on my cycle. So it's just kind of, I know I might like be oversimplifying it, and it just sounds like too easy, but I don't know. I just, other than that, I don't really feel like it made much of a difference. Other than, actually, I don't feel like I had any kind of like any pains as I normally did, and I think it actually did kind of like affect my mood. That I felt like I was in a better mood because no matter what, the food, whether I'm in a bad mood because I don't want to eat what I want to eat, in the end, the smoothies are giving me perfect nutrition and therefore balancing me inside and making me feel better. So I do remember that I was in a better mood afterwards. As long as you like keep a good mentality about it, I feel like it's really good for you when you're on your cycle, but you just have to be like mindful of these things and keep a positive mentality about it.
Mm-hmm.
And Jenny, you went through your cycle once on a cleanse, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. It's being 8 months pregnant. I kind of forget. I've had a menstrual 9 months.
What's that?
But for me, I think it was kind of similar to Natalie's experience from what I remember, but I was really tired. Because I work out a lot and I'm a personal trainer, I think the hours that I spent also providing a service to my clients and then trying to consume, I felt a little bit more depleted than usual, which is, I guess was a natural response. But when I would consume the smoothies, or if I was also eating raw salads and stuff like that, I felt so much better. I mean, whatever headaches and fatigue I felt was like very short amount of time. But then I would also make sure that I took my Epsom salt baths or like got my magnesium intake in through oils and lotions and stuff like that, because during your menstrual cycle you kind of need a little bit more magnesium than usual. But that was just from my experience.
Yeah, and I obviously am not an expert on menstrual cycles, but I have studied it a lot because I work with a lot of women, and Gabriella's right. Women are superhumans and have superpowers for sure. And the menstrual cycle, the cleansing process of the menstrual cycle is part of that. The menstrual cycle, for those who might not have an understanding of it, is a cleansing process. Is getting rid of stuff that you don't need in the body and rejuvenating the body, revitalizing the body. Men have a menstrual cycle as well, but it doesn't have those kind of clear signs that a woman has. And I would argue it's probably not as deep as a woman's menstrual cycle. But being mindful of the experience is the biggest part. All right, I'm on my cycle and I'm cleansing at the same time. This might have a different effect than if I wasn't on my cycle, is a big part of it. But also now you're doing double cleansing. So you can get double the benefit out of it. So that's something to be mindful of as well. So if you are going through your menstrual cycle, it might be a little tougher initially, and definitely get feedback from other women who have had experience doing it, but also embrace and enjoy the process. And like Gabriella said, the biggest theme is do not be hard on yourself. If you slip up and because today things were rough, whether you're going on your menstrual cycle or anyone, you slip up. Like I always say this, if you ate a handful of almonds and that was like your cheat, because you're good. You're in a good place. You're doing good things for your body. Like we went to last cleanse. I talked about this. It was like a 10-day, I think we did. And on like day 8, we went and we were like, all right, the last 2 or 3 days we're just gonna do salads, right? That was what raw salads. And they threw those croutons in there. Not the croutons, like the little stick ones. And I saw it, but I didn't say that. Because I could have said like, no, don't put that in there. But I was like, so every time I ate it, it was like so good and so like, I miss food.
I mean, it had sesame seeds on it.
Yeah. It was a good stick. Any other thoughts or comments?
I have one
Yeah.
quick. Another thing with the cleanse that I love is that it allows you to, you have to plan your meals. There's some sort of planning. So, you're going back into like empowering yourself, not kind of like just eating because now I'm finally hungry. It's like, do I know that I need to have my smoothie in the morning, snack in between and, have my smoothie, 2-3 hours later. So it allows you to like really plan your meals, and that I feel is very empowering in itself. you have to, obviously buy the ingredients beforehand. It's not gonna be like, oh, let me make a smoothie, we open that fridge and there's nothing in there. Like that aspect of it, I feel like it's a nice practice to bring into your life as well.
Daddy has a question.
Yeah.
She's asking if within the 3 to 5 ingredient recommendation, if there's a fruits to veggie ratio recommendation that we would suggest.
Yeah, so if you're doing like 3 ingredients in your smoothie, so we made a recommendation that you keep your smoothies to 3 to 5 ingredients. You can change that, but we just found that is like the perfect sweet spot to have something that tastes good and doesn't taste like mud. Because if you get 8, 10 ingredients and it comes out green and brown, it don't taste like nothing. Just tastes like grass and so, which is you might be into that. Sometimes it happens. But 3 to 5 ingredients, you can really taste the flavors of all the 3 to 5 ingredients that you place in there. So if you're doing 3 ingredients, the ratio will probably be 1 fruit. If you're doing 5 ingredients, somewhere like 2 fruits. But again, the theme is at the end, it needs to be green. It needs to be green, and that's how you can ensure in an unscientific way that you're getting enough greens in there. So I hope that answers. Questions about that?
Yeah, it might seem a little stupid, but like if I want a solid snack in between, can I eat like a kiwi? And am I still in the green smooth cleansing process?
Yeah, so it's not part of the first tier. It's not part of option 1, but it's more like an option 2 because now you're getting the raw food form. And the only reason is that when you blend it, it's more digestible for your body, and when you get it in this whole form, your body has to work a little bit more, which is not bad. But again, if we're trying to rest our digestive systems as much as possible. That being said, though, you might blend it up and you might find a piece of solid aguacate, and you'll be like, this is a treat, So embrace those. Don't be too hard on yourself about that. But yeah, there was times that I just couldn't get a smoothie, so I ate an orange or something like that. It just, it's just what it was at the time, and that's fine too.
Actually, on the orange tip, we've said it like joking around, but it really does help. Instead of chewing, like, eating orange whole, like, just suck the pulp out of it.
The juice.
Yeah.
No, the stuff inside. It's pulp. It is pulp. So just that's a nice help. And if you feel like you need something, like, you use tea, like we mentioned before, is very good to calm the stomach pain, pains. And then it really, you say joking around, but it really, like, you feel like you want to chew, like during the 3rd day, you want to, like, I feel like chewing, just don't blend it that much. You have like a nice chewy smoothie.
Or get like a chewing stick.
There's in the recipes, one of them is Jenny's gazpacho, and everyone needs to have Jenny's gazpacho because it's like, at first, if you've never had gazpacho, it might seem kind of weird, like this cold soup with all these raw ingredients, but it is so good. Like, it's not even just smoothie good, it's just good. Like, so like, right, it's really, you're just eating a smoothie with a spoon, but you'll be surprised how mentally that really like changes things, and it makes you even feel more like satisfied with your meal. So yeah, I mean, when we don't do the cleanse, we like put some little extra stuff on top, but it's really good. Like, so if you guys feel like that craving or you want some food or something like that gazpacho, I know, really like saved me a few times. So.
Jenny?
I'm not sure if you answered this before, maybe you did, but for texture-wise, you can also freeze your smoothies into like little ice cube trays and have like little popsicle. I mean, for people, it's a big thing on texture, so sometimes you don't want it always in a liquid form. Yeah, that's still, a way that you can consume it, and it's fun.
Yeah, I haven't done that. They're good. Maybe not the savory ones.
I mean,
the refreshing ones probably.
I mean, the gazpacho is supposed to be cold, so you can freeze it a little bit, then blend it, so it's kind of like floppy. I mean, I like it either way. It's whatever you guys like.
2 last things I wanted to touch on. If people have questions, it's fine. But one was the eczema thing, or like any kind of skin rash, and you might find as you're cleansing, obviously you're ridding your body of toxins, and toxins come out in many different forms. So skin is one of the biggest ways that toxins come out of your body. And if you have any lymphatic system blockage, that's why we recommend the dry brushing to open up your lymphatic system. You might see that you get some rashes on your low back, on your arms, maybe your armpits, maybe your legs. You might get them in different places. Just understand that's part of it. Obviously, if they get like bad and worse, you know, you want to have someone look at it. But if it's just like a little rash, just be mindful. It might be your body getting rid of toxins. You might also have some pimples or something like that come out, and that's all part of getting rid of the toxins. But by the 3rd or 4th day, those should subdue. The hunger pain should be gone because all that mental garbage should be gone by that point. But that's just part of the process, you know. So don't be like, you know, because not everybody's process is gonna be great. You're ridding yourself of toxins. Some of that might be, you know, bad bathroom breaks, or, you know, she had an extreme case of vomiting on a cleanse that she did. I've never heard of that during a green smoothie cleanse, because a little bit of a different cleanse, but you might have something similar. So just be mindful of it.
Sorry, but just
Yeah.
like even emotional outbursts.
Yeah.
You can be
Crying,
very
yeah.
moody, very, you know, just whatever it is, but it will come out.
And it's part of the, and that's again why the support is so important. So if you have any questions or obstacles that you don't know how to tackle along the way, you know, reach out to us, because we have all different types of people in the community. We have nutritionists, we have people who are health coaches, we have personal trainers, we have people from all different parts of the spectrum. We have nurses, all that stuff that can help out. And the last thing I wanted to talk about was the supplementation. We kind of touched on it earlier, but I wanted to see if anyone could think of any different things that we might be deficient of regularly, or that they've seen in past cleanses, and what are some ways to address those deficiencies. So we've talked about magnesium, and Epsom salt baths are one of the great ways to get magnesium into the body. We also have magnesium. You want to talk about what that is in the back? So your homemade magnesium creams? All right, so after we'll talk. So we got some magnesium creams with some essential oils and all that stuff in there. But also too, there's you know, things like magnesium sprays that you can spray in your body. You can buy them. How much was that one you got at Whole Foods, Camilo? The magnesium spray. Didn't you get one from them? Oh, I recommended it. It's $12 or something like that. So that one's pretty cheap. So anyone else? Anyone have any mineral or vitamin deficiencies that they know are common in diets? Yeah, so iron. So where can people get iron?
Dark leafy greens.
Dark leafy greens. So just consume more dark leafy greens if you have. And what's a sign of deficiency in iron? Energy, hair being brittle, cold fingertips, all that kind of stuff. Like slight anemia, that's an iron deficiency. Yeah, if you got like bags or decoloration there, that's also a sign of it. Well, some other things that people might think might be deficient on this diet, potentially.
This might sound a little weird, but just like oxygen. We've been talking about meditation, but like breathe into the discomfort you might feel, or breathe into any, like sometimes when we get stressed, it's like you literally hold your breath. So breathing into that a little bit. And also with Epsom salt baths, I love to put in some hydrogen peroxide, which also really helps, like when your pores open, really helps oxygenate your body.
Does it make like a bubble bath?
No, it doesn't. It
That would be
doesn't
cool.
but it feels really good, and it's also really soothing.
Nice. How much would you recommend?
I usually put in, like in one bath, and hydrogen peroxide is pretty cheap. I'll put in maybe like 3/4 of a bottle of like a, I don't know, not like a huge bottle, but one of the smaller bottles that will sell. Maybe like 2 cups or something.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And then also too, a common one that people talk about is B12. I mean, if you're a vegetarian or a vegan or a plant-based eater, you might have all heard, oh, B12, because most of the B12 you can find in society is through meats, but there is a lot of plant-based sources of B12. One of the things that we like to use a lot is nutritional yeast, which is easy to find. And you can get it pretty cheap nowadays, and you could just add nutritional yeast into your smoothie and get a lot of B12 in that way. And it's all on the diet. It's great for you.
I mean, just naturally, like regularly when you used to have salads, I like to put nutritional yeast on top as well. It's a nice taste. This one is going to be difficult to tackle through the smoothies, but just to be mindful is that vitamin D is, you know, we're in a city where it's cold, we don't get enough sun. So vitamin D is difficult. So that's the one supplement that I actually do still take in as a pill during cleansing. I mean, just regularly, but I cut off every other supplement I take during my cleanse. But vitamin D, I still do take it. Take it in pill form, so I'm gonna say. So I don't know if you wanted to touch on.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people are vitamin D deficient to some degree in New York in general. I mean, just because they're inside all the time, or our culture doesn't encourage being outside. You know, like even if it's cold out, you should walk around outside. You know what I mean? Like it's I mean, the sun is not going to necessarily give you all you need sizing of the vitamin D. So going for a walk every day, a 30-minute walk, trying to expose as much skin to the sun as you're comfortable doing. Obviously, because if you're in a coat, you're just getting your heads and hands. It's not going to do the same job. I think, you know, they say a certain percentage, 70% of your body should be exposed, which is hard to do in the winter. But, you know, try maybe, you know, you go out for 5 minutes with no shirt on if you, you want to get crazy. But definitely, you know, you can find ways to supplement it. Again, you can take it in pill form, but there's also vitamin D oils. Oh, yeah. Which they're a little bit more pricey, but they go into the system a little bit better. Yeah, and calcium, we said. So where do we get? How can we get calcium? Because calcium is from milk, right?
Drink like spinach.
Yeah. So from your greens, so you get a lot of calcium. In fact, you know, I mean, it's a misnomer that calcium comes from milk. You know, that's big business who has been promoting that idea, but it's large forms of calcium inside your greens. But you have to be mindful too, when you do go back to consuming a non-plant-based diet, if you consume milk, milk is very high, is very acidic. And so it actually depletes calcium from your bones, the high acidity of milk. So everyone's like, oh yeah, you know, I drink milk for the calcium. Actually, it's probably doing worse things to your bones. But that's just a side note. You had something else?
The calcium intake, I mean, for my research, because I'm big into the magnesium oils, all that stuff now, because being pregnant, it really helps me because I get a lot of cramps on the legs, which is something I never experienced. But using magnesium, you need actually a good balance of magnesium in your body to correctly, I think, to correctly use the calcium that you're intaking. Because a lot of people, you know, I wrote some stuff down here. A lot of people will like get symptoms like heart trouble, migraines, muscle cramps, things like that, because they don't have a good ratio balance of enough calcium, but also because you may be deficient in other minerals and vitamins in your body, the calcium can't be absorbed anyway. So you want to make sure that if you experience these certain symptoms, you can even look it up. I mean, we might have a list to provide you guys, but you want to make sure that you are experiencing those things to make sure that you kind of correct those balances, especially throughout the cleanse, because the body is going to expose it even more than before. So it's just a recommendation.
So, and again, if you feel like you come across anything that you feel like you're deficient in, just let us know. If you're using like a tracker like MyFitnessPal, which is a good one, it calculates all the intake that you're getting. So if you see you're not getting enough of something, let us know and we'll give you some recommendations. So who here is doing a 1 day cleanse? Nobody? Who's doing 3 days? 3 days?
I'm gonna do 3 days.
3 days.
I don't know. I just I don't want to put my body into a process where it's going to end up suffering. I don't want to go through that mental and physical and emotional, especially now. I have a good friend living with me for a month, and their good friend, she's the one that invited me. I know I think I have a good support system, but it's still really hard. You have to go, you know, you have to live your life. So you go to work, you have to explain to everyone why the hell you're drinking this. You know, it's like, please just give me some peace of mind and let me do whatever I want to do because it's my body. So I like this idea of cleaning it. I love I'm sorry. Natalie. I like her approach of resetting my body. That like really, if I came in thinking that I was gonna do this, I think that word just committed me to do it. I think that those 5 days might be a little bit too much for me. So I'm gonna try to stick to 3 days. If I get to 5 days, kudos for me.
Yeah.
but I'm my focus right now will be 3 days.
Cool.
And you know, at the end of the day, you can't stop living. So you have to get up really early. You have to run to work. You know, you have things scheduled, and it's really hard. I mean, I've been thinking about the Nutribullet or whatever it's called. Like, okay, that's pretty convenient. I can leave it in the office. That's not a problem. But still, you know, it's like, oh crap, I did not bring my smoothie or my stuff. And what am I gonna eat? I'm starving. I'm like in the middle of Manhattan, whatever, you know. So I don't want this to be a frustrating process for me. I want it to be good. I want it to be positive. So anything that or anyone that might bring a negative or something that will complicate this, I don't know. It's like,
Just be allowing with yourself. If you know it's gonna be difficult, have salad, have some fruits, have some nuts. It's okay. I mean, you don't want to deprive yourself either, and then you're gonna get a lot of things, obstacles coming your way, and a lot of things that might frustrate you, and this might be heightened during the cleanse. So it's just knowing yourself and not letting other things dictate almost how you feel, and kind of just going with the flow. I mean, it's all about you in the end, so you want to make sure that you feel good, and just be allowing during the process.
No.
Yeah, we've been saying a lot that it's like it is it looks off the cleanse. So many things. Realize you become sensitive to negativity, the people that bring negativity in your life. Why are these people surrounded by you? Sometimes we give into it. I think New Yorkers as a whole are becoming more like cynical and disgruntled and angry as people, and we get into it so much that we don't and like I say this all the time, but I think my partner is like one of the most positive people I've ever met, to the point that like I'm a positive person and I feel like a negative Nancy sometimes around him, you know? And we don't realize it until we leave New York and we're somewhere else that like, we're like, why are we in a rush? Why are we like this or whatever? So like the cleanse is also really good to start kind of cleansing yourself of the things that bring negative energy into your life, because you're going to be so sensitive to these things, because you don't want this person at your job that's like, why are you drinking these smoothies for? It's like, can you just go over there for the next 5 days? Don't talk to me. You know, like I'm cleansing myself of you. You know, so and it's good. It's empowering. You know, it's just like, you know, no offense, but like your energy right now is not working with me. You know, and if they are respectful of you, you know, you word it in a nicer way. You know, I'm not good with that sometimes. But you know, if they're respectful of that, then fine. You know, let them then they'll respect your space. You know. And it's good to like, you know, reflect on these things later, you know. So yeah, that was just what made me think about when you said
That brought something up, because at work, you know, a lot of people like to make comments when they see something different.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to be mindful of that, because it's like you pointing out to that person, oh, you're eating fried chicken or you're eating this. It's kind of inappropriate, but people do it without even thinking.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one of those things that's like, should you let it bother you or shouldn't you let it bother you? It's your decision, but at the end of the day, it's like you are doing something different. That person may be intrigued on day 3 to maybe even participate with you. But you're going to get a lot of comments, and it's just handle it the best way possible. Because people like to make comments on things they don't understand.
Right.
And sometimes it will make you feel uncomfortable, but you're doing something good for you to cleanse yourself. Maybe it'll rub off on them a couple of days later. They might even come and ask you questions. So, you know, don't heal for yourself. If day 3 you're like, you know, I can't handle that anymore, that's cool. But if you want to continue because, you know, you're feeling good, but you also don't want comments, it's kind of, you got to kind of find a middle ground there and see what works for you.
The truth is that people take these things for whatever reason as a personal attack on their own choices. So you have to like try to be mindful of like, is this person really, they're just projecting their own insecurities about their unhealthy choices on me because I'm making a healthy choice right now, you know? So yeah, again, you just have to be mindful of that. Understand that people are like, oh, are you eating that crap? It's like, you're just saying that. Understand, you're just saying that because you're projecting yourself on me.
Don't take nothing personal. But yeah, I was gonna add that I mean 3 days is awesome. So if anyone online too is doing 3 days, if you're doing 1 day, we always say in Revolutionary Fitness, any effort that you take, especially as a poor and working class person of color, coming from our communities, any effort you take to better your health and fitness is a revolutionary act. It's something that should be applauded. It's something that you should commend yourself for. And if you do it for a day, 3 days, 5 days, some people I know said they're going for 10 days. Great. Like, that's something that should be applauded because all the odds are stacked against us. You know, we're not given the education that we need to lead a healthy and functional life. We're not given the resources in our communities to do so. We're not taught that this is something that should be, you know, liked in our society. We're also not supported by individuals in our community when we do these kind of things. And so all the odds are stacked against us, and we need to applaud that. So 3 days is awesome. I would also add to the discussion on how to deal with other people's interacting with others is that, again, yeah, don't take things personal, understand what people, where they're coming from, but also understand that they probably are in need for some enlightenment and education on this stuff. And you have the opportunity, the unique opportunity during this cleanse to be that person. Revolutionary Fitness, we always talk about making fitness ambassadors. We want everyone in this room to be you know, the person in their community, in their household, who is the anchor of health and fitness. We want you all to, you know, promote this stuff to your friends and family. Obviously, don't be make like you're an expert on something you're not, right? That's never a good thing. But if you have certain experiences, you can share those experiences. If you have a community that you can tie those people into to get the education, tie them into that community and become that person at your workplace or in your household who is just like, yo, you know, they're always doing something healthy. I want to do something healthy too. They're the person I'm gonna go speak to. You know, that's who you want to become. And any more questions before I wrap up?
Yeah, there's one more.
Gabriella first, and then
Well,
we'll take the
I
one.
was gonna say, like, even just one step, if you know that you can't be around a lot of other people while you're doing it, then plan to not be around other people while you're doing it. Like, even just do a 1-day cleanse where you're not gonna be home, and that's just it. Whatever it is that whatever structure you place, like that's you imposing your own power to say, I'm gonna make it happen, whatever challenges are being faced in front of you. Just find that way.
What's that last question?
Maggie's asking, I've heard it's suggested the idea to blend only apples with veggies. What is your take on it, Sean?
Hey, Maggie. So she's talking about combinations of different foods. And again, we could do a whole workshop on combinations of foods. So we're not going to take the time out to do it today, but we'll try to find some resources to share on Facebook so people can start doing the education for themselves about food combinations. Because there is ideal food combinations, especially when it comes to fruits and vegetables. And that's another reason why we want to make sure people are consuming primarily vegetables and keeping their smoothies green, because we can't all become nutritional experts overnight and try to memorize all this stuff, right? There's so much conflicting information, do this, do that, don't do this, do that. And so instead of confusing everybody during the cleanse, you know, we'll provide some resources online for you guys to tap into, but more so, it's all about going through your experience and sharing it with others and getting that back and forth. And if something doesn't taste right, your body will tell you. If there's not a good combination, your body will respond in turn. You know, you'll get a stomach ache, you'll get a headache, you go to the bathroom in a certain way. Just be conscious of what you consumed and what reaction you had to it. And also your taste buds will tell you, especially after day 3, your taste buds will be heightened and you'll be able to taste what's good and bad for your body, because we're all different. So what I wanted to close on is, obviously the preparation days are key. If you haven't done the 3 days of preparation that we were posting on the Plant Strong group page, which hopefully everybody's part of, you can start the preparation today or tomorrow, whenever. So you do the 3 days of preparation. If you're doing options 3 or 4, you can get away with just doing 2 days of preparation. But I would say the more preparation, the better. And speaking to Gabriella's point too, if you can't do the smoothie cleanse this week for whatever reason, obviously this is ideal because you do it with the community and you get to engage and blah, blah, blah. But maybe it just doesn't work this week because something's happening in your life, and you do it next week, whatever. You know, just take the resources that we provided with you and stuff that we're talking about online and do it whenever you can. 1 day, 3 days, 5 days, 10 days, 20 days, whatever you want to do.
And we're still here.
And we're still here, receptive to it. And to close out, you know, Revolutionary Fitness, for those who don't know, we talked about it a little bit in the beginning, but we're a grassroots organization. We're not funded by any big business. We're not funded by any big interests. We're totally funded by the people. And our organization was founded to promote health and fitness primarily in underdeveloped communities that underserved which just happens to be a lot of people of color communities, especially here in New York City, but it's not exclusive to. So a lot of our work is focused on that. Is how can we make things more accessible? How can we make things more culturally relevant? How can we connect with people? How can we have people speaking who look like you versus some community telling us how to eat good and how to be healthy? We're telling each other. And so that's a big thing about us. So if you haven't learned more about Revolutionary Fitness, go to our website, learn more about the kind of things we do. We're launching our new schedule, our new workout schedule next week. My bicep curls. So we'll have classes in different parts of the city. And so the full schedule is going out next week. We might have some other classes happening in Brooklyn and a couple weeks after that for those who live out in GK. But we also have ongoing educational forums that you can always tie into. And who here hasn't yet signed up for the newsletter? Everyone signed up?
I signed up 5 minutes ago.
Nice. So you're gonna get all the resources and you'll get the schedule and all this stuff. And if you're not on the Plant Strong group page yet, just, you know, ask to join on Facebook and anyone can approve it. So if you see someone, approve them, and just try to get everyone engaged on there as possible. If you see some spam, though, erase that person. Let's take a communal effort. Like some lady was posting about something the other day. I don't know what it was. Like, I don't know, like travel agency thing. And I was like, how do you get in here? Squeeze it in. So in any case. But any last questions or comments before we wrap up? About RevFit, about the cleanse, about Cyrus's hair, or Jaime's, yeah, rocking the same cut today.
I have a question.
Yes.
Sorry for my English, but I want to know is some different body when you the plant juice, because some machines separate the juice and pulp.
Yes.
What happened? What is different?
Yeah, we talked about it a little earlier, but what you're talking about, one is a juice, so that's when there's no pulp, and then there's a smoothie that has the pulp and the meat, the content. So both have benefits. The juice can be easier on the body because you're using less digestion, right? You don't have the fiber is not there, so you're just getting the nutrients from the juice. But also, juice can be risky because you can overconsume something because it takes a lot of something to make a juice. So you can overconsume fruits very easily, and a lot of people consume juices that are like just celery and fruit, and they're just spiking up their insulin levels and doing very bad things to their body. So just be mindful if you are going to juice that you're getting a lot of vegetation primarily still, and that just small amounts of fruit. And things like beets, there's other vegetables that are very high in sugar. So be conscious of those sugary foods and especially in juice. And smoothie can be beneficial because even though you're getting the fiber and there's a little work that your body has to do, it's not as much as eating a food. It's still broken down, but also more nutrients can be intact if you're eating the pulp. There's some nutritional benefit in that as well. And also sometimes it fills you up a little bit more. So that helps too.
Also, that fiber, if you want to think about it, is also working as
a scrub.
A scrub of the intestine, you know, the digestive system. So that is a plus to have. You know, that's why we do smoothies. You know?
A good mixture is best, but whatever is accessible to you too. People spend $15 on a juice. That's not practical, and that's not what we're promoting. Yeah. Any other final questions?
If you're gonna do juice, it definitely should be organic because then you're just squeezing not just the nutrients but the pesticides and all that.
Good point. So that Dirty Dozen, that list that we talked about, we're definitely gonna get it on there. But there's a bunch on there. You'll see that people are constantly getting juiced at different juice places around the city and not checking if it's organic, if it's cleaned properly. So people, you know, they think they're doing the right thing. They're trying to be righteous and be good to their body. And in fact, doing some things that might be even worse than consuming junk food at times. Okay, cool, awesome. Well, we'll hang out for another 15 minutes if you want to just hang around and talk to people. For those who are online, feel free to keep chatting online and definitely asking questions. So we'll see everybody. Oh, actually, I almost forgot. How did I forget? So We're obviously going to be doing daily check-ins throughout the week and seeing how people are. So comment and reflect on those questions. But then going forward, every Sunday at 9 a.m., we're going to be hosting a Plant Strong Club Google Hangout. So we'll put it out in the newsletter that goes out on Thursday, but every Sunday, indefinitely, until we can stop. 9 a.m. on Sundays, we're going to have a 1-hour discussion where people can share their experiences about the cleanse or just about nutrition in general. And it's going to be a forum for people to discuss that every Sunday morning.
It just reminded me too that we're probably going to go into it, during the week, but you should at least mention that how to end the cleanse.
Yeah, we're going to put that information out. How do you break the cleanse properly? We can talk about it briefly right now. Obviously, you want to break the cleanse with food that's similar to what you did to prep for the cleanse. So you want to eat, that first day, and things like that. You don't want to just, we've done it. We don't want to just go and eat like some greasy, one that time we broke the cleanse, we went to Ethiopian place. So it was all these great lentils and beans and all that stuff, but then we had this big piece of fish, and it was just the wrong thing. We were drinking liquor. It was just a bad, we were like, yeah, we broke the cleanse. It was horrible. Don't do that. Because then you just erase all the benefits from the cleanse, and then you're in the bathroom the whole next day. So transition back, and also too, you might have found that there's things that you don't want to go back to, like Gabriella was saying. Maybe you found you had a gluten intolerance. Maybe you found you don't want to consume as much meat anymore. All these different things. So when you make that transition, try to adopt those new behaviors and those new foods that you want to consume, because this is like a restart button to gear up for what your future can look like. Nice. Cool. Awesome. Cool. So you guys just hang out. We're gonna put some music on. Peace out to everyone that's on the web. There's like 20 people on right now.
Oh, nice.